Interpol, the International Criminal Police Organization, plays a crucial role in international law enforcement cooperation. However, its role is primarily informational. Interpol facilitates the exchange of information between member countries. It does not have its own police force or the authority to arrest individuals directly. One of Interpol's key functions is issuing notices. These notices alert member countries about individuals wanted for crimes. Red notices, for instance, request the location and provisional arrest of individuals pending extradition. However, these notices are not international arrest warrants. They are requests for cooperation. The decision to act on an Interpol notice rests solely with the member country. Each nation retains its sovereign right to enforce or disregard these notices based on its laws and policies. This discretion is fundamental to Interpol's structure, recognizing the diversity of legal systems and political landscapes across its 195 member countries. Therefore, while Interpol facilitates communication and information sharing, it is ultimately up to individual nations to determine how they will respond to requests for cooperation. This distinction is crucial for understanding the complexities of international law enforcement and the limits of Interpol's authority. The arrest of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte brought to the forefront the Marcos administration's stance on cooperation with the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The administration has consistently maintained a position of non-cooperation with the ICC, citing concerns about national sovereignty and the Philippines' withdrawal from the Rome Statute in 2019. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has repeatedly emphasized the Philippines' decision to disengage from the ICC. He has argued that the court's jurisdiction infringes upon the country's sovereignty. This stance has been echoed by other government officials, solidifying the administration's commitment to charting an independent course on matters of international justice. The Philippines' withdrawal from the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the ICC, stemmed from the court's investigation into Duterte's controversial war on drugs. The administration viewed the investigation as an intrusion into domestic affairs and a challenge to its authority. This policy of non-cooperation reflects a broader trend among some countries wary of the ICC's reach. They argue that the court disproportionately targets developing nations while neglecting alleged crimes committed by powerful states. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte under an ICC warrant, despite the Philippines' withdrawal from the Rome Statute and the Marcos administration's stated non-cooperation, has raised eyebrows and fueled speculation about political motivations. Critics argue that the government's actions contradict its previous pronouncements and suggest a calculated political move. One of the main points of contention is the selective enforcement of Interpol notices. While the government swiftly apprehended Duterte based on an ICC-requested red notice, it has been noticeably silent on other ICC-related notices concerning lower-ranking officials implicated in the war on drugs. This discrepancy has led to accusations of political targeting, with Duterte being made a scapegoat to appease international pressure while shielding allies. Adding fuel to the fire is the timing of Duterte's arrest. It came on the heels of a public and acrimonious feud between the Marcos and Duterte families, including impeachment threats against Vice President Sara Duterte, Rodrigo Duterte's daughter. This context has led some to view the arrest as a calculated maneuver by the Marcos administration to weaken the influential Duterte political dynasty. Furthermore, the administration's justification for arresting Duterte, citing compliance with Interpol obligations, has been met with skepticism. As previously established, Interpol notices are not legally binding, and countries retain the discretion to enforce them. By framing the arrest as an obligation rather than a choice, the Marcos administration attempts to deflect criticism and maintain a semblance of consistency in its ICC policy. Section 4. Procedural irregularities and legal implications. A tangled web of justice. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte was not without its share of procedural irregularities, further complicating the legal and political ramifications of the event. Critics have pointed to several anomalies that raise questions about the transparency and legitimacy of the arrest, casting a shadow over the entire process. One glaring irregularity is the lack of public information regarding the Interpol red notice issued for Duterte. Typically, red notices are published on Interpol's website, making them accessible to the public. However, in Duterte's case, the notice remained conspicuously absent from the database, raising concerns about transparency and due process. Adding to the controversy is the appointment of an Interpol representative by President Marcos on the same day as Duterte's arrest. This individual reportedly oversaw the arrest process, despite having no official affiliation with Interpol. This move has been condemned as a blatant violation of Interpol's neutrality and an attempt to lend a veneer of legitimacy to a politically motivated action. From a legal standpoint, the arrest has reignited the debate about the ICC's jurisdiction over crimes committed during a country's membership, even after withdrawal. While the Philippines argues that the ICC no longer holds sway, the court maintains its right to investigate and prosecute crimes committed during the period of membership, which, in this case, encompasses Duterte's presidency. The arrest also has significant implications for Philippine sovereignty. By acting on the ICC warrant, albeit indirectly through Interpol, the Marcos administration appears to contradict its own rhetoric of non-cooperation and implicitly acknowledges the court's authority. This apparent contradiction underscores the delicate balance between upholding national sovereignty and cooperating with international legal mechanisms.